Good Wednesday morning, and welcome to Ice Age TV, the internal combustion engine age YouTube channel that talks about cars and trucks and motorcycles and dogs and ponds and all those good things. And hey, time watcher, or viewer, or subscriber, appreciate your support if you are watching me for the first time. And yeah, it's a day here in the Northern Virginia area up here in Virginia, near the Maryland line. Maryland's on about 5 miles from here, from where I live, up in the northern corner of Virginia. And it's just incredible how there just isn't any winter here, even though across the states, there is a winter. A powerful storm is brewing. It's happening, I guess you could say. And yeah, so what are you talking about? Powerful. Power, I think, would be a good conversation. And what intrigued that? Well, intrigued that was batteries. Let's first just kind of talk about power. If you in my driveway, I've got a lot of power sitting around at the, I just have a lot of power. If you start adding up all the power in my driveway, yikes. I mean, look at here. Here's a Ford Mustang 5.0 motor. What's it, 420 horsepower, something like that. Here's a Grand Cherokee L with a V8, which isn't common in these newer Grand Cherokees. 5.7 liter motor. What's that, like 385? Then I got the good old Ram 2015 with the Cummins motor in it. I think that thing's like 350 in the horsepower. It's big torque. And so right there, gee whiz, so there's 400, there's 700, 800, there's like, 1200. There's 1200 horsepower. As I walk across the driveway, I got some power. I used to be in car forums where I would brag about my power and piss people off because I'd have Mustangs and Hellcats sitting in my garage. And how much power do you have in your garage, right? So there's just 1200 horsepower right there. The power boost here is like 435 or something like that. So now we're up to like 1600. The Mustang Mach-E, the battery pack, the nickel cobalt manganese battery pack, or the nickel manganese cobalt battery pack, however you want to phrase it, that thing probably has like, I think, 500 horsepower. So what are you up to? 21 horsepower, another 350. We'll just say 20. 20. I can't even keep track. I mean, for me, it's just too much. It's just too much information. I'll have to get my calculator out. If you just start going through the numbers here, I probably have 4,000 horsepower on my property. Do I even include the motorcycles? Yeah, I mean, just in the garage, here's 1,600 horsepower. Basically 800 horsepower in each vehicle. Right? Yeah, the bragging rights, right? Iceman, what are you doing? This is all the bragging rights this morning about all the power? Well, yeah, it is. How about that? I'll just be obnoxious, right? Not really, but no, the real reason I'm bringing this up is because it's incredible on how the age of times. Come on, Pops, get in here. These guys are getting off course. That ain't good. Come here, get in here. Times, Scouty, come on, Scout. We're going from the ice power to the battery power. And that's what spurred my conversation this morning. I just think that how, for us Ice Age people, oh good, they're all right there. Hey, what about the Hellcat Charger Day? What that thing? That thing's just so much fun when you start lighting it up. That car there, it just gets down the road. Just a beautiful car. Just beyond believable. The Dodge is just going to phase these things out. It's going to be all battery power cars. That's where it's all going. So that's the reason I'm talking about power this morning. It's because of all the more than ever, it's all about the batteries. I mean, that's the main conversation anymore. It's battery. Let's get up here in the office. Get the day going. And I got my Indian gear on. And they said, why is that? Just announced their Super Sport motorcycle. They revealed their Indian Chief. It's basically a Chief Super Sport, or I should say the Sport Chief. That's what it's called. New that it's called the Sport Chief. So it's basically the Chiefs that I have. I have the Super Chief Limited, and I have this Chief Bobber. Well, just picture that. We're taking that same bike, and they call it Sport Chief, a little more with a little sporty fairing, rear different shocks on it. It's supposed to be sportier. Wow. Gang is here. Get my coffee, get my yeah, back in the day I didn't have much horsepower around me. You know, that was like 300 and some odd horsepower. That was lame. That was like 180 horsepower, I think. Back in the days, I was just getting going in life and my adventures. So anyways, so the power, my idea of the power conversation today, which will keep it with the car theme at first, on how, and for me, I could have had a power conversation some months back, and I'm gonna slide this thing into my little new tripod holder, but I can't remember. But whatever. I'm the editor. I'm the script writer. I'm the key actor. I'm everything in one. You know what's interesting? To brag about myself, it's all about me, right? It is all about me. You know, it's just my YouTube channel. And yeah, right. So, but I've always been of many talents to accomplish many things. I mean, truly, I started my own company on my own, and I did all the work on my own. I mean, I'm not lying. All the hard labor, pouring concrete, running lines. Like I started a public telephone business back in 1996, and I'm not embellishing you. I did everything. I did the sales. I did the installations. I rounded up the money to be able to start the business, and with the help of my father gave me, if I remember right, my father gave me like $20,000 to start the business. And my dad was my partner in that business. And I think a lot of people thought back at that time that my father kind of like created the business. But no, my father would be the first to raise his hand and say that, you know, he gave me some money and I ran with it. And I created it into $1 million, operation. But I kept him as my partner because he helped invest in it, and I rewarded him through paying him back and keeping him on a nice salary. And he enjoyed that. My father had that from 1997. 1996 when I started. Well, I couldn't start paying until like 97. And I paid off all my debts. Believe it or not, between 1996 and the year 2000, I spent $1 million and I was debt free. So I really had my act together more back then than yeah, today. Yeah, what money does to you, right? The power of money. So, so anyways, just move on from that whole focus on me, only me, right? So what spurred this conversation is the batteries. So batteries, we're the Ice Age people. We're all fixed on the 392 motor, the 426 motor, the 350 motor, the 6.2 liter motor, the 5.0 motor, the 3.5 liter. I mean, it's all liters more than cubic inches anymore, which now even for you, like, is my Hellcat motor a 374 cubic inch motor? Because it's a 6.2, but the 6.4 is a 392 motor. So if it's just 2 liters more, or it's 2 liters difference in cubic inch, and I don't even know. You're more focused on it's a 6.2 liter motor. Just like the Ford Mustang GT500, it's a 5.2 liter motor. Is that like a 327? I mean, it's just all over the place with these different liters to cubic inches, and so. And that's what drives us as motorhead enthusiasts is the horsepower. Us knowing that you go out and buy a new car or whatever the latest greatest is, or you go out and buy a car and you modify it. I mean, if you go to the car show meet with me, you'll see like the one gentleman there that had the green BMW. He's showing how they tuned that thing to like 650 horsepower at the rear wheel. I mean, wow. I mean, the car was like a 550 horsepower car, 450 the rear wheel. Now he's got it 650 to rear wheel. I mean, just insane. So that thing's a rocket ship. I mean, good Lord, how do you keep your license? So the battery power, the big talk right now is NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt, or you could say nickel, cobalt, manganese, NCM or NMC is usually the most common ingredients used in these battery packs in the cars that are being built, electric cars being built, or it goes to the lithium iron phosphorus, or lithium iron phosphate, which is LFP. Element L is lithium, element iron is symbol is F, and element phosphorus, is symbol is P, so it's LFP. So the big news is that Ford and other manufacturers are going to convert from the NCM. I say NCM, but I think it's NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt. But they're gonna kind of try to start trending away from that battery technology and power because it's more efficient. It's less expensive to make the lithium iron phosphorus battery cell. And another key thing is that nickel is a key mining element that comes from Russia and Congo. And with the Russia fiasco, we're trying to put sanctions on them to do what? And then Congo does unethical thing to humans to mine their nickel and cobalt. So those two regions are very not on the favoritism list for the manufacturers, but at the same time, it's very expensive material. So the manufacturers, which Tesla, the irony of this is, Tesla already uses the lithium iron phosphate battery technology in their cars. They're already ahead of the ball game of most of their manufacturers. And why this is breaking news for Ford to be telling everybody they're going to go to a less expensive battery makeup, but it's like anything. It's a cause and effect. So the NCM is a longer distance battery, but it doesn't cycle as long, and it's a more cold recharging battery capability. The lithium iron, the LFP battery pack, it doesn't have the range, the density in the battery to go as far in the range for a vehicle. And in colder weather, it's terrible on recharging capabilities. And so the power side of it, there's the pluses and minuses. But the way Ford and Tesla are addressing these is, well, also lithium, the LFP also gives faster charging times. So you can recharge the battery pack and you can reuse the battery on a longer cycle. So the advantage of this from Ford's perspective is that they're going to be able to offer a lesser expensive Mach-E or F-150 Lightning truck with this battery technology, but you're going to have the offset that, this truck will go 200 miles versus 270 miles, or go 250 miles versus 320 miles. So you're going to be offset on the capabilities of the battery, but Ford and others feel like it'll be more of your. I would say it's kind of like a person saying, I'm going to buy the Honda Civic to go to work every day, but then I'm going to buy the Chevy Suburban to take the family on a road trip. So I guess the manufacturer is just coming to realize that people have multiple electric cars, so you're going to have to be your electric car that's going to be less money, but has less versatility because of the smaller battery pack, or just like anything else. You buy a truck that is a half-ton truck with a four-cylinder V6 motor in it, and you can't tow a lot of weight. Wait a second. How does that work? That's all changed that ball game, right? But years ago, you wouldn't be buying the half-ton truck to do heavy-duty towing. So you knew when you bought the truck it had its capabilities. So that's the way Ford's addressing this. And that's why the big breaking news of Ford is, hey, we're going to bring new technology, battery pack to the market. But in so many ways, Tesla's already like, well, we've already been doing that in the majority of our cars for the record. We've already figured that out. And then there's so many other behind-the-scenes companies that are figuring out how to make the battery, the lithium iron phosphate, phosphorus battery cell pack, to be more efficient and to be have better capability of recharging in the colder months, and to have more density of having maybe a little longer distance than what they originally thought. But the biggest thing too is this is a heavier battery, so it does add weight to the electric vehicle. But again, the biggest pitch is it's going to bring to the market a less expensive electric vehicle to the consumer that just has to say, okay, if you're only driving back and forth, you're going to school and going to work, it's all local stuff. Do you really need that extended range vehicle? Buy a different vehicle for that capability. And that's a good point, that it does it is a heavier battery over the NCM, the nickel cobalt manganese product. Yeah, so, oh my goodness, the technology. I mean, just where we're going. It's just trying to stay abreast of all the different variables of how manufacturers are trying to adapt to the power of the governing bodies, the power of the green agenda, forcing the hand like never before for the automotive industry to adapt and change to the electric vehicle market is at a rapid pace. It really is. And another thing that is speculated is apparently on March 1st, Elon Musk, Tesla is going to announce a new Tesla product that's an EV less expensive. So the competition's now in one sector of the market. I got to take my coffee break, man. I barely even drink any coffee. So sorry if it looks rude, but I got to drink coffee. And it's cooling down because it's cold. It's colder up here. A little touch of winter this morning, I should say. And so Tesla is just starting the price wars. And there's a whole other debate on that side. And some manufacturers are not going to start discounting their electric vehicles to get in a price war with Tesla and Ford. Tesla and Ford are the only manufacturers right now that are starting to discount their electric vehicles. Not the Ford truck. Ford truck's in its own market of its own, so Ford doesn't need to do that. Ford's truck is $16,000 more. Yes, the price has gone up on the manufacturing end, $16,000 more since the announcement of that truck. 16 grand more. And so here's Elon Musk. It's the same old rhetoric that, hey, we want to build a affordable car for the consumers, and he knows that most people can't afford the Tesla products, and he understands all. But at the same time, Tesla stock, even though Tesla's stock declined by 65%, Tesla still has a $650 billion value. Tesla, with all the automotive manufacturers, it's beyond believable. If you take General Motors, you take Ford, you take BMW, you take Mercedes-Benz, Toyota, you can go through the list of all the major automotive manufacturers. Tesla's stock and company evaluation is worth more than all those combined. Beyond believable. It's beyond believable that it, even with a stock that tanked 65% last year. Just this electric vehicle movement, the power of what we think to be is incredible. And we live in an age of we live in the future more than ever, and the power of what we think the future is more powerful than the modern times and what we live in. It's beyond believable where we are in today's society. What is driving the craziness? It's maddening to think that so many people are caught up in the future that know it'll be better off. I mean, did even vote? Who voted for this guy that's sitting in office? We're in a world war. We're at the highest prices of everything in the country. We're at the disrespect level of never seen before. We're at the inner city crimes never seen before. We are at the border crossing at the highest levels, and now we're speculating that these train derailments. Now there's news that somebody found some explosive device a mile or so from that railroad derailment in Ohio. That there's something they're digging up evidence. Maybe somebody intentionally blew up the track when the train went over it. Then there was just another railroad derailment. Is anybody paying attention to this stuff? The power of the future. The people are told that somebody be better in this country than somebody else. Oh my gosh, but everybody just forgets about the past. Isn't it incredible? Everybody can be focused on the future, but they forget about the past. Wow, the power of the future. So for Tesla, if you give Tesla $100, you'll make $26. Yes, that's a known fact. If you invest in Tesla right now, technically his stock is proving, even though his stock got killed. But as far as his automotive business market, and when he sells cars, he's the most profitable automotive maker now in the market. He was not for years. We all know that story about going broke. But as of this moment, for every $100, you make $26 off the Tesla product right now. That's what they're saying in them. It doesn't make much sense to me when you lost 65% of your value of stock. But whatever. So Tesla is the driving force at this time of the whole automotive EV industry, and that's where all the other automotive manufacturers are clamoring to, is to try to position themselves to overtake Tesla, because Tesla is the majority of the EV car in the world right now over everybody else, and the trend isn't stopping. So Tesla's, if anybody thinks Tesla's going down the toilet, that ain't happening. If anybody thinks the car industry is going down the toilet, it's like, yeah, I mean, the gloomer doomers, these YouTube channels, it's like you're so out of touch. The infrastructure from the Inflation Reduction Act is billions of dollars that are being invested into the infrastructure of this country now for the future electric vehicles. Between the manufacturing side of making them to the battery manufacturing, it's massive. The state of Virginia, the governor, we got a good governor here that has common sense. I can't say that for a lot of these other freaking states in our country. Just whack jobs are running them, just beyond unbelievable. But he shut down a Chinese company thinking they'd come to this country and set up shop here in the state of Virginia and write off the Tax Reduction Act. And they're going to set up shop. He's like, no China company's going to be owning the business in my country. Here, and thank God, here's China. China has shaken the hand with Russia. If anybody here doesn't think that the devious things are coming to this country, you're foolish. The infiltration of this country, World War I, go back to World War I. Was it Pat Toomey, the famous detective police officer in New York City that undercovered the Germans that were in the port of New York building bombs to blow up ships that were taking key wartime things to Germany to help those fight against the Germans? And they set up shop right here in New York City, the port of New York City. They had a ship making bombs to blow up container ships that were taking key weapons and other things to Europe to help fight the war against Germany. Yeah. Do you think that any chance it could happen today under this Biden administration that has open border policies? And unfortunately, the left side of the party, Democrat Party, that has pity for all these people that are wanting to come here and live in this country without going through the proper protocol to get in. I mean, I don't know. I mean, for me, it's like, wow. Do you understand that the Chinese are now coming through our borders right now? Probably like, are you kidding me? I mean, does anybody understand that China is on a move to be the number one king of the world? They are making this transition. It's happening. So for us, we're foolish to think that we are not going to be impacted by this Russia-Ukraine fiasco that we're in, that a year ago, if we would have had a sitting president that would have stood up to this guy and told him, you ain't going into Ukraine, you ain't going in. We're going to have all of our military sitting in front of you guys. You're not coming in. You're not coming in. And oh, by the way, England and Germany and others there, you're going to have to come with us and stop this because it's going to be a fiasco. Did any of these leaders do that? We have the worst leaders in our lifetime right now. The worst. The worst. They're running us down the road of total destruction. Beyond believable. And be like, oh, this is radical. It is radical because we have sitting powers to be, the powers to be in this country that are just looking the other way to enrich themselves and to gratify themselves in so many ways. Gavin Newsom. Here's Gavin Newsom. He's going to go ahead and they're going to open up the door to go after the oil companies for their wealth tax off of their oil profits. Okay. All right, great. Go for it, Gavin Newsom. But by the way, Gavin Newsom, you have $1.28 per gallon gas tax in the state of California. It's double, borderline triple to every other state's tax infrastructure in gas. Where is all that gas tax money going? Because the Costco that is near me, they sell now 1.5 million gallons a month of gasoline at one gas station. 1.5 million gallons. 1.5 million gallons. $1.28 times 1.5 million gallons. That's $2 million. $1.92 million that one station pays the state of California. Hey, Mr. Gavin Newsom, you're making way too much money off this gas infrastructure. You're going after oil companies saying they're reaping huge profits Do you pay government employees to run the Costco gas station? Do you pay government employees to run all these little gas stations? I mean, do you guys actually have to provide? I mean, yeah, right. I mean, wow. But you'll get the average person will go, yeah, the oil companies are terrible people. They're the worst. But at the same time, the oil companies are being shut down left and right because the green agenda wants them to go away. And even California wants them to go away. They are no longer letting new gas stations being built in certain areas and districts of the state of California. I mean, oh my gosh. The power of manipulation is beyond believable. We're in today's society. It's beyond believable what we're witnessing. And so the EV, I talked about silent, quiet. Yesterday's conversation was quiet. Yeah. What is an electric vehicle? It's quiet, right? Yeah, it's quiet. What does the EV agenda, green agenda, want a guy like me to do? They want me to be quiet. They don't want me to talk. They don't want to talk to people and explain to you what's going on around us more than ever in our lifetime, than how we're all being told the future is going to be so much better because of what somebody think the future will be, but it's going to be all in your pain. You're going to pay a lot more money for what you think will be a better world. I mean, wow. Yeah, it gets a little deep now and then, but at the same time, who's talking about this? I mean, sincerely, who's talking about this? All you hear is the big automotive people. They're all on the EV page. And here's the thing. Look at Japan. Why is Toyota, Mazda, Nissan, Subaru, why are they kind of like the last to be getting pulled into all this? Why? I mean, what is it? The Japanese, I mean, to me, I think the Japanese are very smart, intellectual people. And what they've brought to this country and the quality of products they brought is incredible. Everybody knows that the Japanese, they've made this country's automotive side get back to reality. Because if it wasn't for Japanese, you know the running joke of the cars built back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah, I mean, junk, beyond junk. The Japanese, they're the guys that forced American guys to get their act together. So you have to say to yourself, why are the Japanese so much more reluctant to get caught up in all this EV immediate agenda? Where you hear these timelines, 2035, 2035, 2035, 2035. The gasoline and diesel cars are going to be banned, blah, 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 blah. What is it about 2035? Why at 2035 does the switch get turned off and another switch gets turned on and all the world challenges change? I mean, does anyone remember everybody preaching that you get rid of the police? Defund the police. Does anybody remember this? Defund the police. Get rid of the police in these inner cities. They are the problem. Did you just hear that? Yeah, this was the pitch for so many politicians in this country. Get rid of the police. They are the problem in the inner cities. Well, there's a major drug problem in that city, right? That's not the problem. There's major people getting pregnant every day and living off government assistance. That's not a problem, right? No, it's not the problem. There's kids that don't go to school every day because your education system has failed in the inner city. That's not a problem, right? No, that's not the problem. It's the police. The police are the problem here. Do you understand that? Wow. And how many people bought into it that elected these officials? Look at Chicago. That woman mayor is a whack job. How does she have a job? Can you imagine if you had a job and you ran your skills like a lot of these politicians do? Would you have a job? You would not have a job. You would be terminated. Do you think the higher up companies that have these incredibly talented people, do you think these politicians would even qualify? Do you think AOC would last in a job at Amazon? Do you honestly think that lady that she'd last? She'd be gone. All these political figures that in the real world, they would be. This is like you being the coach of a basketball team or a football team, and you find out this is so many people that recruit in your team. You'd be like, I don't want them. I don't want these people. I've been a coach. I coached youth girls basketball for 8 years, and it's just dirty when it goes to the boys' side, and they even have rules in the frickin' league where you can't do this stuff. Where you get your friend that has a friend that's a really good player that you finagle on your team. It's all about the players. But you had to take these other players that had no skills at all. And if you were the person that just was all about winning and you didn't have to abide by the rules and you could just take all the best players, yeah, there you go, right? Well, in the real world of business and life, okay, pick and choose. You get to pick and choose who you want on your team. And in the real world of professional sports, the same thing. And all these political figures, for the most part, are in power. Would you recruit them? Yeah, if you want to lose all the time. So, wow, beyond believable. We are in times, it's beyond believable, the power of the electric vehicle movement, the battery power movement. But I think to myself as well, it's the power of more than ever in sitting times of what people are training people to be like. I mean, just be unbelievable. The younger generation is being taught to be somebody they're being taught that who they became in this physical world isn't who they should be, and that they'll be happier if there's somebody else in the future. Wow, I mean, dangerous beyond dangerous. And the professors of the colleges of this country are teaching the youth that the future will be so much better if it's not this lousy America that we know to be, that came to be, from people that look like me that created it by abusing others that don't look like me. But now I'm the problem. Wow. I mean, beyond believable where we are. And just once again, it's people are quiet. People are quiet. They're just not, I mean, people are just going off the flow. People send their kids to college. Professors are teaching them devious things, and the parents like, well, I can't say anything because if I say anything, my child will be thrown out of college. Then she'll be labeled, she'll be tarnished, and then she'll have a social credit score where she won't qualify to get a job because she didn't play the routine that she has to abide by, the wackiness of the world, the new agenda of our country, the powers to be that are destroying our country more than ever. Wow, I know it's a YouTube channel for cars and other things, but at the same time, the cars that we love and have a passion for are being impacted by the governing body. So here's the thing. Once you have your electric vehicle and you fast forward 20 years from now, a guy like Governor Newsom in California, then he's going to attack your wealth tax on your electric vehicle. He's like, oh, everybody has the privilege to drive these electric cars around. You're going to get $1,000 bill for owning that car per month. Well, why? Well, because it's a privilege for you to be able to drive around an electric vehicle. It's put a huge, it's destroyed our electrical infrastructure. And but the electrical companies now, they're making way too much money, so we'll just go after them for their wealth tax on their electrical infrastructure, what they've now monopolized. And for you as a consumer, we're just going to charge the hell out of them. They're just turning on charge the hell out of you. I mean, it's not going to end. The government, when does a government, have you ever heard a government official stand up and say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake? Have you ever heard a politician say, oh, by getting rid of all the police in the inner city, I'm really sorry that I was the person to support that. That was a terrible decision. We need to go back to the good old days where you have to have law in the city. And let's go back to good old days where if you impregnate somebody and you're the father, you take responsibility for it. You have to take responsibility for having the child. You don't just keep on going and doing your thing, and then the government's just going to take care of your little baby, which they're not. I mean, just be unbelievable. That's where we are in today's society. That's the acceptable way to be. The power of the future, the power of our governing bodies more than ever that are convincing so many that what is wrong is right. All right, everybody, I'm going to kind of finish up with that. Yeah, it gets a little deep here on the YouTube channel, but at the same time, the doomer gloomers, I mean, what are the doomer gloomer guys doing? I mean, for them, am I now the new doomer gloomer guy? I don't think I am. I think I'm a guy who tries to just share with others, hey, wake up, hello, and yeah, back to the batteries. Yeah, so hey, everybody, you're going to be able to buy that electric vehicle for a little less because it's going to have a little less expensive battery pack in it, but I don't see it. I mean, I don't see that, okay, so the electric Mustang Mach-E, it's $42,000. Now it's $41,000, $500. I mean, because here's the thing I didn't even really talk about here is that all these unions and all these car manufacturers are giving raises to all their employees. Toyota just did across the board, pretty big raise all the way across the board. Well, what does that mean? Ford Union, I think, got a big raise. The railroad was wanting a big raise. There's so many things going on where everybody's getting raises. So what does that mean to you? Well, it means you're going to spend more money for whatever you're going to buy. So to think that cars are going to get cheaper, I can't see it. I don't see it, especially at this Ukraine-Russia war where how that all starts to play out. Wow. All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for watching my channel. What am I doing today? Yeah, speaking of batteries, my Ford Power Boost, it's got a 12-volt battery alert, needs service. What's that all about? I got to call my service guy and find out. I have to take that thing over to Coons Baltimore Forge. That's dangerous. You go hang out there for the day. Yeah, what happens there, right? Yeah, I end up driving out with something different. Yeah, I know it too well. Yeah, the power of the car dealerships, right? Yeah, I get it. All right, everybody, hey, thanks for watching my channel. Appreciate the support. And it's not a hate channel. It's, hey, is it okay for me just to tell it the way it is? I mean, sincerely, is it okay for me just to tell it the way it is? Or should I be tarnished and banned? All right, everybody, God bless. Stay